Welcome to the regular meeting of the Richland School District Board of Directors. We will recess into an executive session until 6:30. Thank you. Welcome back to the regular meeting of the Richland School District Board of Directors. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Taking roll call, we have 3 board members here in person and Jill Olson is online. Bonnie Mitchell is excused this evening. Can you hear us, Jill?
Yep. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Perfect.
Okay, we will start tonight with our recognition. National Board Certification.
Good evening, board members. For those of you who don't know, I'm Kristen McKenzie. I am the principal of Orchard Elementary, and I'm National Board Certified as an early childhood generalist. And I have the pleasure of being our district's mentor for our candidates who want to go through the process. So a little bit about the process itself. If you don't know much about National Board, it is widely recognized as really the most respected certification that a teacher can achieve. It's based on a shared standard of excellence by teachers for teachers. And any of our teachers that pursue this, they're asked to do an extensive analysis of their instruction. They are asked to put together very in-depth portfolios, 3 of them to be exact, and also videotape their practice. They're supposed to analyze their practice, their evidence of impact. So it's a really big commitment of time, and the perseverance that our teachers do who go through this process is just amazing, because it's not just a one-time thing. So yes, we're recognizing them tonight, but in 5 more years, they get to do it again and again. So it is an ongoing learning that our teachers are committing themselves to. So they are joining these 3 behind me and 2 extras that couldn't be here tonight with us, our other 84 Richland certified teachers. So tonight, the 2 that weren't able to come, Pamela Lucas, She's certified in literacy, reading language arts, early and middle childhood. We also have Miss Sarah Sarver, who is high school math, so early adolescence. And I'm going to let the ones behind me introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Andrea Temez, and I certified in ECA generalist.
Hello, I'm Angie Forrester, and I'm from the ELC, and I'm also certified in early childhood education as a generalist.
Jessica Kinney, I'm at River's Edge, and I certified in like secondary science with the biology focus.
Awesome. Yeah, awesome.
So, congratulations. Just to put it in context, my daughter-in-law, I watched her go through, get her master's in teaching, and then I watched her get her national board cert. It was much, I don't know if you've seen the same thing, it was much, much more intensive getting this cert than it was getting a master's degree. And you should be really proud of yourselves. And I think it's a worldwide certification. You can go in, don't leave Richland. But this is a big deal. And you probably have family that also sacrificed during this time with all the extra videotapes and lots of writing and the testing. And if you haven't seen this, this is a really intense certification and very impressive. Thank you for doing it. And thanks on behalf of the students.
Yep.
Because the other thing I've heard is this makes a direct impact on your students. Have you seen the same thing? What do you think about the process?
So I think for me, the national board process was much harder than a master's, very much so. But it really, it confirmed that I was doing a lot right, and then it asked me to dive deeper. And so for myself, I kind of, the process of what they call knowledge of students. So you really get an in-depth knowledge of your student. And I found, in that process, I found things out about students with collaborating with their families, and we're able to use those as vehicles to reach students. I worked in an inclusionary program, so half my class was had special needs, and being able to kind of find the back door to reach them. A lot of that vehicle came from that collaboration of doing that deeper dive with students. So that was one way it stretched me and had me look better or look deeper. So there you go.
How about the self-reflection piece? Is that still a big part of it where you do something and then you have to reflect on it?
Yeah, I think every component, there's 4 components, and I think all of them had that self-reflection. The questions really have you reflect on your pre-teaching, your planning, and then also the process of what strategies you're going to use in your teaching. And then coming out of that, also reflecting on how the lesson and delivery of that lesson or unit went, and then what you would do differently in future lessons with that. So it's the whole process is all about reflection kind of from beginning to end there. So at least for me. So, yeah.
I want to echo what Rick said when he said thank you. So, thank you for doing this for Richland School District. And I want to know how long of a process is it?
So the process itself, they have up to 5 years to initially certify. So within the first 3 years, they must try all 4 components. Many of our candidates do go through this process in 1 year, and it's 400 hours to complete. But in addition to that, they're also giving up every Monday or Tuesday to come and be with me for 2 hours to go through the process and brainstorm ideas together. So it really is a very large commitment. I think we have a wide range from 1 year, 2 years, and I think 3 years standing behind me. So it's a really awesome process.
And then can I ask each of the 3 of you just, I think I can guess about the inspiration for doing it, but kind of what really kind of got you started on going through the certification? What was the last little push that got you going to it?
Well, for me, I just love teaching, and the national boards has a lot of explanation of the best teaching out there. So it was a good opportunity to think about how I can improve and grow. And then I got to spend a lot of time talking to other national board teachers in my building and like around in my area and kind of collaborating with them too to think about what I was doing in the classroom. So like Mr. Jansen said, it was a really reflective process and definitely much better than my master's program for growing my teaching skill.
Very good.
Yeah.
Cool.
For me, I work at the Early Learning Center in earlier education, and my certification with my bachelor's degree was early elementary. So I wanted to get in there and get that certification in that how to teach the littles and really kind of fine hone that craft. And this looked like a good vehicle to do that and just broaden that teaching skill in that early childhood area. So that was kind of a driving point for me. So.
I also agree. This was much more than my master's degree. Then when I did get my master's, I was certified K-8. This was so nice because I've taught first grade for 10 years now to really be able to focus on my age group and really reflect is an understatement, but really dig deep and have to have the tough conversations even with myself of, oh, okay, I could do that better. Okay, next time I could do this. All right, what about this? And just the aspect of the entire teaching profession.
That's awesome. Jill, do you have any questions for the group?
Sorry. I'm trying to locate my unmute. No, just thanks you guys for doing that. I know it's a pretty intensified program, so I really appreciate all your guys' work to bring that to our students as well.
Great. Thank you so
Great
much.
job.
Yep. Then we will move into our student advisory report, and I believe we have the student on Zoom tonight.
Yes. Hello. My name is Ella Mabruki. I'm a junior at Hanford High School. And just to give a quick recap on what we did at our previous meeting, our main focus was around AI. So to kind of summarize, we were given a sample of the OSPI policy and we kind of just shared our thoughts on it. And I think the most significant points that came up from it was that although we are appreciative of like having AI as a tool for us to kind of assist our learning, we felt as if there was like a difficult spot to like cross the line between like having AI do too much work for us and using it as an assisting tool. So we felt that in general, the main thing that needed to be put down was having a clear policy on when AI can be used and when it shouldn't. Because when we all discussed, some students were talking about how some teachers would be like promoting the use of AI, not for like just like doing the assignment, but it kind of takes away the whole brainstorming part of it, even though it can also help to create creative ideas. And then some other points that we made were like the creative aspects of school. For example, when it comes to like things that were mentioned were the Richland Bomber song or their theme song, and also some like flyers that we see at school that are like school sponsored, for example, like sports. Sometimes there'd be icons on there that are like AI generated. And we felt as though like maybe students should be given the chance to express their own artistic skills. So maybe like they should be able to have a chance to kind of bring a new face to the school rather than having AI create it. But overall, we felt that so far we're doing good, but maybe we might need a little bit more concrete rules that will be able to set us up for having a good learning experience. But so far, everything's great.
Great. Thank you. Any questions from the board?
I have a few questions for you here. I'm going to put you on the spot.
That's okay.
Do you
Don't worry.
do you think it's possible to have one policy that could rule over all the classes as far as the use of AI? And the reason I ask that is because I can see a situation where AI can be viewed as cheating on something, where you're not really putting any work at all, having AI do everything. But with all tools that we have, and that's what AI is, it allows us to take what we are creating a little farther, sometimes a little faster. But it seems to me that in some classes with some teachers, a guided use of AI would be very appropriate. What do you think?
I definitely agree. I mean, I definitely don't think that there could be one just strict rule on AI that would oversee everything, especially for some people that do have a hard time like kind of following along with like a traditional path of learning with how some teachers might teach. But I think it's possible to create some sort of AI like assisted learning that is able to kind of, I want to say like enable more creative ideas, but not necessarily kind of like replace the hardworking part of it, where like you're able to establish new ideas because you kind of put that kind of pressure on your mind to create those. Sorry, I'm not sure if that's a great answer.
No, it is. I'm just gonna go a little farther if you don't mind,
No, that's okay.
because I can think back to when I was in school, and language arts was my struggle point. That was the classes that I didn't do as well in.
Hmm.
And I can think back to having writing assignments, and sometimes the most difficult part of it was the start. Needing that one little hook to get going on writing something. So I could see in a class like that where AI could be a starter, right? But I could
Hmm.
also see like what you talked about on some of the art type projects where AI can come up with something, and then the student can um, revise what the AI comes up with. Again, it's just it gives a base, but then you can expand on it, or you can give the base and AI can expand on your base. So I'm curious as we start thinking about policy, how we can create a policy that is flexible enough to allow for the benefits of AI without the exploitation of it, and see
Well,
what your thoughts are there.
yeah, I definitely agree that when it comes to language arts, it can be really tough to kind of like establish your own ideas and kind of have just like a running start. But I would like to ask you, what kind of push are you thinking about when it comes to starting ELA assignments with AI? Are you thinking like maybe like establishing a prompt or kind of figuring out like how to outline or thesis, or I would love to know more about that.
Well, that's how I would think. I'm thinking back to 16-year-old me, and there was no such thing as AI. There was hardly even an internet. Nobody had it, and thinking about how nice it would have been instead of wasting the minutes sitting there with a blank piece of paper trying to figure out how to start, to just have something that to generate just a few ideas for me, and then I can take it from there. That's what I was just thinking, for myself, where I would have used it when I was that age. I know today I used AI writing software, and it was very similar. Instead of um, having to do some research to figure out how to do something, I could simply ask AI how to do it. It would pop it up there, and then I still had to go do it, right? But it saved a whole bunch of time and allowed
Yep.
me to get farther faster. So.
Yeah, definitely. That this might be my own personal bias, but I believe that if we want to make some sort of guideline when it comes to AI, especially when it comes to language arts, I don't think it would be very efficient to have it create like for you to have it like build off of what you're going to do, because then it's kind of just like the AI is telling you what to do and you kind of just respond in response to that. But I do think something that can be useful for teachers to kind of influence more ideas to come above is kind of for example, if a teacher is assigning an essay and there's common themes of those essays, you could be able to kind of pull different kind of stimuluses together to create something that will kind of influence you, kind of like, sorry, this is really hard to explain, but kind of just gaining an idea like second-handedly rather than just having something given to you, if that makes sense. Please let me know if you want me to elaborate on that.
No, it's fine. I just think like from a policy standpoint, it's going to be really difficult to
Yeah,
come up
I
with a
mean,
policy
yeah,
that's flexible enough and yet
uh-huh.
um,
Yeah, if it was easy, we would have had a policy for it by now, but I'm
Mm.
it's difficult.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Of
You need
course,
to run
thank
for school
you.
board. That was really good.
Katrina, I have a question for her.
Yeah,
So
go ahead, Jill.
when you guys were looking at the OSPI documentation, were there also components in there for the teachers? Because I think one of the things that we that's going to be important when we start developing and looking at some of the policies that are out there is um, AI is a little bit like everything else, garbage in, garbage out to some degree. So if prompts are not written at a level of understanding that allows for better information to come out, um, you're still using the AI, but truly the AI is only giving you probably close to what you would be doing on your own. Because the whole purpose behind that is to continuing your prompt writing. That's why that's a huge issue in AI right now, and people are going to school for that. So how do you see that being implemented with the teacher side of helping kids identify um, how much thought they put into the work in what they presented with AI? Does that make sense?
Yes, it seems like there's a little bit to unpack, but it's definitely I see where you're coming from for sure. Um, I think from the teacher's aspect, it can definitely be a little bit more challenging, especially since they want students to be able to have a growth mindset, but also with the assistance of AI if it's possible. Um, I think, could you actually repeat the question for me again?
Yeah,
Sorry.
it's just sort of like how does that policy play into what we need to give teacher support in making sure that kids can utilize AI, but are utilizing it in a manner of growth mindset, not just doing their work?
Okay, that makes sense. I think in honesty, maybe just ensuring that students are using it to a fair amount. I'm not exactly how sure that would be, especially since it would be regarding the type of assignment or subject. But I think it would be useful if teachers were able to keep like they were able to just keep in mind about how much AI that their students are using, because if they're using the majority of it to kind of establish what they're learning and what they're going to be like acting upon, I think that they want to make sure that they're not relying and like dependent on AI, but using it enough to ensure that their students are going to be learning and actually benefiting from it. But I think that honestly, yeah, just maybe close regulation and understanding and seeing maybe like the cause of effect of someone using AI like in a like more than necessary and not unnecessarily amount. But I
Right.
think maybe,
Yeah,
but yeah.
it's a whole gamut
Yeah,
of all
sorry.
kinds of what
Yeah, that
ifs.
wasn't a great answer, but
No. I know what you
it's
meant, and it is confusing and because it is so big and so broad and so many uses that it's
exactly.
really hard
Yeah.
to exactly what Dan was
Mm,
talking about. How do you streamline something so immense into a
exactly.
single policy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
No,
definitely it's definitely a challenge, but there's no doubt about it that AI can be really helpful. So hopefully we'll be able to find a way to use it the best way you possibly can. Of
great. Thank you so much.
course.
Great
Thank you.
report.
Yes. Thank you.
Thanks for being on tonight. We appreciate it.
Yes, of course. Thank you so much. Good night, everyone.
Yeah, good night.
Okay.
All right, we will move to our parent guardian advisory report.
All right, the Parent Guardian Advisory Committee met on January 26th at 6 p.m. in person as well as via Zoom. The topics discussed were discipline and English learners, multilingual learners. The recommendations for the school board regarding discipline are as follows. Number one, have information regarding safety plans posted on the district website in an easy to access place. Number two, take steps to ensure equitable enforcement of policies across all buildings and activities. Three, standardize documentation and communication for incidents, consequences, and reentry plans. Set requirements on parent notification with a quick turnaround. And 4, make sure the responses to number 4. Okay, make sure the responses to questions from the Parent Guardian Advisory Committee have more direct answers from the board. Concerns of parents regarding English learners and multilingual learners were there was not a large turnout of parents for a discussion on ELs and MLs. One of our biggest concerns in the wake of current events is how to help these parents have a voice. Due to the low turnout, we did not have any concerns shared, but we did have a lot of questions, which are in the document I gave you, or Nancy gave you. Thank you. As for recommendations, we do not currently have any recommendations to present to the board at this time, other than requesting an initiative to update our school website from saying English learners to multilingual learners in accordance with other districts in the state of Washington. And then I'll just let you read the questions on your own time. We started a new thing where we're sending out surveys so that more parents can be involved in submitting questions. So there might be more once that comes back. And then our next meeting is going to continue with the multilingual learners. We're trying to get someone to come in and speak on it, but we haven't heard back from that. So that's kind of to be determined. And then at the end, we had the board member reports, which had to do with the voting on the levies, which is today. So got 2 hours-ish. Go vote. Yeah, I think that is all I have for you today. Thanks.
Yeah, and Kayla, I think just follow up. One of the things we talked about was we were going through a lot of the threat assessment policies and
Yes.
procedures, and the group had asked questions about the safety plans and how those are documented. And I think we discovered that it's not documented in any of the procedures.
Okay.
And so I think that would also probably be something that the district could look into.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Kayla. All right, we will move into our public comment period. We open the meeting for public comment. This portion of the meeting is an opportunity for members of the public to address the board on matters within our jurisdiction. The board also encourages speakers to present written statements to the board secretary, who can distribute copies to all of the board members. Please keep your comments brief and focused on the issues before the board. We ask that all comments be respectful and constructive, and that the audience remain quiet and respectful, regardless of your agreement with the viewpoints that are shared. The board will listen to your comments, but will not engage in a back and forth discussion except to ask clarifying questions. Please be aware the comments regarding individual staff or students are not appropriate during this time. If you have a concern about a specific staff member, please direct it to the superintendent or discuss it with a board member directly. We have 30 minutes total set aside for public comment, and we allow 2 minutes per speaker. We'll do our best to accommodate everyone who wishes to speak, but if we run out of time, you're welcome to send additional comments to our email address, which is boardfeedback, all one word, @rsd.edu. And with that, do we have anybody signed up to speak this evening?
I have not been made aware of any speakers, either online or in person.
You do if you want. I don't have anything constructed up, but
Anyone in the audience, this is your time.
in 2 weeks.
Okay. All right. Anybody else? Any other takers for tonight? All right, we will move on with our agenda. And we'll move on with our board at student rep and superintendent reports and start with Dr. Redinger.
All right, as it was mentioned, a big night tonight, and so we'll be knowing shortly about our 2 levies and then next steps on those. And I did want to highlight 2 amazing staff members with our RISE Awards. So we have an amazing registrar at PCOA. Her name is Amy Browers, and she has been amazing in connecting with staff. According to Paul, she consistently leads with kindness. Students, staff, and parents all describe her as 100% compassionate and supportive. Amy navigates complex processes and high volumes of work while still making every student and family feel seen, heard, and respected. So she is very deserving of the RISE Award. So congratulations, Amy. And then we also have Dario, I'm going to say his name right, Lucic. Did I do that pretty good? Lucic? Oh, I didn't do it well. Okay. Dario joined Richland School District with a strong background in food and beverage management from Marriott. He brought valuable real-world experience at a time when our distribution center was rethinking how it serves the district. So he plays a key role in helping turn big ideas into practical, repeatable systems that actually work day to day. He's driven to find a yes, even when the initial answer may seem like a no. So amazing, and just a big shout out to Dario and to Amy. And I did go to Kiss Me Kate. That was an amazing event. And if you can go to a drama production, I think they're doing Harry Potter in May, which I think will be a really good one as well. And then I just wanted to highlight Richland High School. Dan and I've been going to some of the basketball games, and they are undefeated, which is really exciting. And they are going to go on to playoffs. I think the next game is February 14th. And so just really, really proud of our schools and all the great things they're doing. Bye.
Students?
Today, Hanford hosted LASP, which is a leadership conference for pretty much all the schools in this district, plus like Walla Walla and Sageview and things. And then we also had a CTE fair at Hanford, so there were a lot of paras and subs that were needed. So I noticed like some of them were kind of stressed out because there's a lot of help needed, but it was really beneficial to a lot of students in discovering like what they wanted to do next year. And then we have a jazz concert on February 20th, so I recommend whoever wants to go should. And then chess club for Hanford did really well at regionals, and we even had a person place first overall. And then Hanford and Richland Swim both competed at MCC last week and then districts this week, and Hanford actually won first in both.
So I just wanted to talk a little bit about the video that Tiffany and I made for, it was just like an educational levy video to kind of share the student perspective on why levies are just important to them in general. And we kind of took them on a tour of the schools, and it got over like 7,000 views on Instagram. So we're hoping that we can see the merits of that tonight with a little glimpse into the voting. And then on the 20th and the 21st, there is a winter musical at Richland. It's called The Lightning Thief. It's 7 p.m. and 2 p.m. on Friday, and then 2 p.m. 7 p.m. and 2 p.m. on Saturday, and then 2 p.m. on Friday. And then there's also a dual credit information night on the 20th, and then a spring sport parent meeting.
Thanks for the video. I didn't see that. I don't have an Instagram. Is there another way to see it?
I can send you. I think it's also uploaded on YouTube as well. Yes.
I know how to work YouTube.
Facebook probably.
I don't have Facebook either. Social media is evil, I think. I went to Kiss Me Kate as well. More than I think 125 kids in that production.
Mm-hmm.
That was amazing. They did great. And Manny is usually here doing the sound here. They gave him a standing ovation at the end. You must do the sound with them or help them or teach them. But yeah, that was first thanks to Manny, who's not here tonight. He deserves a night off, but the kids were great. And the legislative, I don't have any updates. Jill might have it when she gets there, but the bill cutoff was last week, except for the bills necessary to implement the budget. And I didn't see anything surprising. And maybe Travis, which is good. I don't want him to do anything. The less help I get from Olympia, the better. That's it.
Dan?
Yeah, I want to give a real big shout out to Hanford Swim. That's really cool. I had seen that as well. I had gone to the Richland and Chiawana basketball game with Dr. Redinger, and then on Friday I caught portions of the Richland and Hanford game out at Hanford High School. All of our winter sports teams are heading into playoff time, so even the Hanford basketball and the wrestlers and such are going to districts and such. So all that's starting now. So good luck to all of our teams as they go out and compete. Middle schools and some of our other schools do the archery in the schools program. So that's heating up. I know that Enterprise went up to a archery shoot up in Connell last week. And I think they've got some in Prosser, and then the state shoot is coming up here in March for all of our schools to do that. I know HomeLink, when we were there for the town hall, we had to move the tables out of the way after we were done so that they could have archery come in there in the morning. So that's a really nice program. If nobody's seen that, if somebody hasn't seen that before, it's a really nice program that a lot of our schools do. And want to say thank you to those PE teachers and other teachers that make it possible, because I know at least at Enterprise, they're showing up at dark hours of the morning to get those kids some time in the gym to be able to try to get some extra shooting in. So that's good. And as I mentioned, the town hall meetings, we did wrap up with HomeLink and Enterprise. Just like the other ones, we had very small turnouts, but I was thankful for the people that showed up, and great conversations were had.
Yeah. Jill?
I don't really have anything to add other than I do want to thank those individuals that did show up at the town hall meetings. We did have some really good conversations. I just hope that people just continue to reach out and ask us questions, and make sure that there's accurate information that they're receiving, rather than assuming that some of the information that they're seeing on social media is accurate. So that's really all I have.
Great. Thanks, Jill. Yes, we will be watching tonight. Not sure if our meeting is going to run all the way till 8 o'clock so that we can be checking my phone for the election results to see how things turned out. But the results aren't certified for another 2 weeks, but hopefully we get a good indication this evening on how the results are going to turn out. And I don't have any other reports for this evening. Oh, actually, I did have a shout out I was going to do. So I had seen an announcement that a Richland High School sophomore won a 2025 Congressional App Challenge Award, Cy Mokuri. He is one of the scouts in the scout troop that I volunteer with, and he's a great young man as a sophomore. So congratulations to Cy. All right, we will move into our performance audit update. Again, Dr. Redinger.
Yes, a couple of announcements. We did start our fiscal audit. We do have an annual fiscal audit. Good night. You guys go get some rest. And that has started. I know Katrina and I both did the risk assessment. We do it individually with the auditors, and so we have that started. And then there's two big areas they're going to focus on for our fiscal audit. One is Title I, which we already have been doing a lot with the consolidated program review. And then the other area for our fiscal is our special education IDEA. And I know our team, because we're also doing the consolidated program review, we feel really confident on those areas that are going to be addressed. Travis and Cynthia do an amazing job preparing all the documents for the auditors, and so that they have the information they need. We'll have an entrance audit in about a week, and then they spend a couple months with us, and then we'll have the exit audit and share the information. Travis and Cynthia have done an amazing job, and I look forward to that report. So that's what I have right now. There was one other thing. We did just get our fleet checked, our State Patrol fleet check of our buses, and we only had one. It wasn't a finding, but there was a certain color of a certain part of the bus that was like the wrong color. So it was something kind of strange. And so Kyle got all over that, and it was immediately repainted. And that was the only, it didn't cause it to function incorrectly, but it was some parts. So thank you, Kyle. Good job. Those are surprise visits from the State Patrol, and Kyle always makes sure we're very well prepared. And that's what I have.
Great. Thank you. Any questions for Dr. Redinger? Any questions, Jill?
Sorry, I keep muting myself and then the button won't let me push. No, I'm good, thanks.
Great. Okay. Let's move on to policy 2413, the equivalency credit opportunities.
Real quick, in the student advisory meeting, we talked a little bit about this. I think Ella forgot to mention, but just like a few thoughts over it is students generally thought that the D requirement for second semester to get the credit for first semester was too low and that it should be raised because, if you had some circumstances that happened during first semester, they thought that you should have to put more work in to be able to get that credit for second semester. But then there are also some perspectives about like diseases or like hospitalization that can happen in first semester that might carry on into second semester, even though you're still there. So that, a D might make sense. But there was a general consensus that it was too low of a requirement. But then also keep in mind the general bias of the students that are going to be in an advisory meeting. So yes.
Great. Thank you for that. All right.
Yeah.
Mr. Christian.
Okay. So based on some feedback, what we did is we adjusted it a little bit. There's ways to get this equivalency credits, and one's through experiential education, which is now number one. Number two, career and technical that we put on there. And then we split up 3 mastery based and 4 competency based because it didn't seem like Dan was saying the last time. It didn't seem like all the stuff that was underneath both of those fit both of those. So we did that. And in doing so, I left out 2 things. So get ready.
Okay.
You probably already caught it, but in the number 3 mastery-based credit, it says students may obtain up to 4 mastery-based credits in world language. But I forgot to keep in the 1 ELA and 1 math. When you pass the smarter balance, you get that credit. That was in the first one, and somehow that got left out of this one when I adjusted it. Does that make sense? It was in the first one. So it's 1 credit in ELA if you pass the smarter balance, the ELA test at 2548. Then they say you can get that credit, and then 1 in math at 2595. And if you ask me what those scores mean, I have no idea. It's a state test. So
the SBA is required for graduation. That's what it's referring to.
it is. I mean, it's one of them that,
Right.
one of the pathways to get you to graduation. Yes.
Okay.
And so other than that, and then down in 4 is the competency-based credit, and I put in red so you could see that it just says passing grade in there. Okay.
Right.
So the options then would be that had been discussed here. I mean, options could be endless, but the ones that have been discussed here is either keep it with just a passing grade, or students need a C to get that grade, or a C minus, whatever you choose there. And then, or another option would be only allow this their senior year after they've attempted other things before they are able to get that equivalency credit. And then, so something like that, decide on. And then the last part is when you want it to start, with which class. So I put that on the title page there, or the memorandum page. Hope that makes sense. I know we've been through this a couple times. So what questions do you have?
Yeah. Dan?
I appreciate the summary at the beginning.
Okay.
Because that really helped. I don't know that I have any questions. I did send you the one question this afternoon, and I appreciate you getting me back to me on that. And just appreciate the information you gave us on when this has been used and which classes and everything. That was very helpful to see that. So I have an opinion. I don't have questions, but
Sure.
I do have an opinion. I mean, I would like to see the C average. And as far as when we start this, I think I'd like to see it used in the senior year, but as we discussed on the question that I sent you on email, because you see that chart and you can see some of these have been awarded this year for kids who are graduating this year, but this semester is not finished yet. So just the question was for everybody else that didn't see it, obviously, are those situations where the counselor is sitting down with the senior, trying to find a way to get them what they need to graduate, and they look back in the history and say, oh, as a junior or as a sophomore, you did this, and we can credit that.
Yeah.
I'd like to still be able to do that, even though we're reserving this for the senior year. But I would like to encourage the kids that if they've failed a semester earlier in their career to do summer school or whatever it is to make it up, so we don't give it to them right away. If that makes sense.
Yes.
But I'd like to have some ability to have the flexibility to do it later if they need that. So
if it's the last resort.
If it's the last resort,
Okay.
as a senior. So
Okay.
if we do it that way, I don't know that it matters as much when we start it, because you still have that, we still have that ability to go and give it to them.
Okay.
have two.
That as a C or as a passing grade?
I was a C. I would like to see a C.
Even if you're going back to your
Yes.
sophomore year?
Jill?
Yeah, I have a couple questions. So on that you put number 4, you stated that 11 students of the class of 28 already have been granted equivalency credits. So my question is, and it goes back to only allowing seniors do that. What is the thought process behind a sophomore being able to do equivalency credits on a class? I know we've gone back and forth about that a little bit. And then I see that the class of 2027 doesn't have any so far, and those are the juniors. So if we were to implement this in 2027, the beginning of next year, it doesn't affect those kids at all. How dramatic is that for those 11 kids if we started in 2027 and we give that base of a C minus? I'm fine with a C minus. Only applicable in their senior year.
I guess I don't quite understand the question. Some of them were sophomores, yes, because a prior policy said didn't give a time that you could use it. So that's why some of those sophomores received it.
Well, but
I don't think if we want to start with class of 2027, it would be.
So I guess my
Doesn't
question
affect
is,
anybody.
class of 2028 are sophomores right now, right?
Yeah, yes.
So that
it would
means
affect
that-
those that have
that-
been granted those credits.
Right, but halfway through this year, they've already been granted credits on a failing semester.
Yes.
So
Yes, because
how?
of policy. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, so would those have been classes from their freshman year then?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, because the policy prior didn't give a year to way to do it. And so some of the counselors look there and say, okay, you didn't pass this, you passed this in the policy, we can give it to you, do it. So that's why, yeah, the one with the big spreadsheet with all it on there, that you see some of that. And that's kind of what Dan was talking about. Yeah.
But the ones that we've already awarded, we can't take those away. I mean, that wouldn't be fair. I wouldn't think.
No, I mean, I would think we'd have to grandfather the ones in that are in place as of now, not stimulating a rush of the counselors to check everybody's transcripts tomorrow before the final vote. I would imagine the ones that are there would be grandfathered in. And then if we added language saying that they could do it their senior year, but looking retrospectively across the 4-year career, you could catch those later, but we would not allow them to grant them during their sophomore and junior year going forward.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yes.
and encourage the other avenues, right?
Number
Because
3 there.
it wouldn't be to the advantage of the student to be counting on it where they've already taken up their 4 credits. What if they fail again? They're in trouble, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's there to their advantage to try to find another avenue anyway to make up those credits when they're earlier on in their high school career.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I'm going to just be honest with you. Most kids don't even know there's an option. Did anybody at the advisory know this was an option? No. So kids don't know it's an option. So
Well, and it sounds like maybe not all the counselors are using it as an option either.
maybe some not till their senior year. I would agree with
Yeah.
that. Yes.
Yeah.
Wait, is 4 credits a limit, or isn't that just for world language?
That's just the world language because that stamp test that they give.
I thought there was a limit on how many you could use though.
And for the competency-based credit, I think in the previous version, there was a 1 credit limit,
Okay.
right?
Did I leave that off?
We might have lost that too.
Sorry. Okay, so 1 credit. Okay, I can go back and see if that's what you want to do for sure.
I think that's what was in there before, was a 1 credit limit for each, for ELA, for
For each
math,
subject area.
for each subject area, 1 for math, 1 for
Okay.
ELA, 1 for social studies, and 1 for science, maybe? I think that's what the previous version said.
Okay, I'll put that in there.
How do you feel about the grade?
I didn't have
Rick?
any issues with it except the grade, and I probably have a different background. Like I barely passed high school, and it wasn't because I didn't know the content; it's because I didn't turn stuff in. I worked a lot in high school, and from an immature high school point of view, if I thought something was stupid, I didn't turn it in. As a result, I got a lot of D's, maybe some F's, which killed my dad because he was a high school teacher. But um, I also think that, so I remember I wasn't quite in high school when Vietnam ended, but I was closer. And teachers wouldn't give F's because, dropouts got drafted. So if we change it to a C, I'm not saying that teachers would do this, but I would if I was a teacher. If that kid was in that kind of situation, I'd give them a C minus. Teachers do their own grading. So I'm not sure that the grading matters that much. Always used to bother me too on, you got graded on attendance, and some teachers would. That was a long rambling thing of, I think passing is enough. I'm okay with waiting to the senior year. I kind of liked your rationale on that, Dan. Let them keep trying and do have different approaches.
Did you look at the chart that he sent out on the ones that have been used? There's
not that many. We're not talking about very many kids.
No, but I was also amazed at how many of them went from an F one semester to an A or a B, for the second semester. I mean, that's also kind of telling that the ability was always there. And I wonder if there's some other part of the story of why they failed that first semester. And we won't know from a chart, but
the teachers will.
The teachers will. I feel like it's not that difficult and not that much to ask to get the C. That's my opinion.
Is there ways to do summer school for free? Like, just
No. Used to be.
But there's
it's reduced or free and reduced lunch students.
If we had like a limit of one, but the student had like a really bad time, so they failed a bunch of their classes that one semester, and then second semester they did better, but we only have the limit of one, and the summer school costs money, wouldn't that be?
It's one per subject.
Oh.
So if they failed all 4 classes and then got an A or a B the next semester, they would get all of them to count. And remembering that if they fail one semester, those are half credits. And then if they pass, they would get the full credit. They would still have the ability to get another half credit in another year if that happened again. So 1 credit is effectively 2 semesters that they could get credit for.
Yeah, and look at this chart. Most people just did a 0.5. I mean, that's more
Right.
than enough.
0.5. Yeah. I mean, I raised 3 boys in the district, and I felt like if the target was given to them, they would meet it. And so if there was no target, then they wouldn't meet it. So I would prefer that there was a grade attached to it, whether it's a C or a C minus, as kind of a minimal passing grade.
That's probably true. I agree with that. I probably would have worked for a C minus instead of. My grade went up too because my dad said I couldn't drive.
Sometimes that happens.
I drove.
Well, and if you know you're going to flunk it, if you know you can't get a D, you're going to get a C. It does go up to that, raising the bar aspect. And I just think that if we don't have, my concern is I want to take care of the students, but I also want to make sure that we're taking care of the students and not just passing them through.
Yeah.
I mean, there is a certain degree of accountability that we have too on their knowledge factor.
Yeah, the other thing that strikes me from the data is that a full half of these are in math. And when I look at the data, there's a lot of kids who fail first semester algebra, get a D second semester, get a half a credit, and then go into algebra 2, fail first semester, get a D and get the second credit. And it's like, I don't know that we did them any favors by allowing them to get 2 full credits. They're not learning math. And we see that in our math scores. The kids are not learning math. So I think we do them a disservice by giving them the credits and pushing them forward.
I
agree. I do think that's setting students up for failure.
So then if we only wait till senior year and they pass second semester of like algebra 1, do they have to go back and retake first semester? How does that work?
No,
they just look and see where they failed it, and they can use that to.
But they're still allowed to
credit.
move on even if they don't get the competency. Okay.
Yeah.
Or they would have an opportunity if they failed it freshman year to take it again sophomore year,
That would be the suggestion for
right? That
Yes.
that would be the appropriate.
retake first and take geometry at the same time.
Right.
Is what the suggestion would be.
Yeah, it would suck, but
That would suck.
So I think what I heard for second reading for this one
Yes.
is we're going to add the mastery-based credit, one for ELA and one for math for the SBA in section 3. We're going to add the appropriate credit limits for the competency-based for each subject
In section 4.
in section 4. And then under passing grade, C minus, the compromise.
Yeah, I'll go C minus.
Okay.
Okay.
C minus, passing grade. And that the credits can be counted the senior year,
Okay.
but can be retrospective.
Yep. That'll be number 4 on that. Okay.
So
I'll bust that
put
out.
that in second reading. Okay.
And then how about when does it go in effect? That was the last question that he had.
Oh.
Well, if it can only go into be used their senior year, then it could be used for seniors this year.
We grandfather
the ones in there.
Right.
And then for next year, the seniors could use it, but current juniors.
Correct.
Okay. All right.
I'll put that in.
If that's good, can I get a motion for first reading?
So moved.
Okay. Second.
I'll second.
And we'll vote.
Yes.
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 Great. Thanks, Tori. And we have policy 5222. New policy 5222. Old policy 5235.
Yeah, this one's for job sharing.
I didn't have any questions and I liked it. And it was short.
I had no questions.
Is there any sort of change in current procedure from how we do this that's in this policy?
No, it matches up fairly well. We cross-reference it with the CBA just to make sure we weren't running into any conflicts, and it matches.
Okay. Jill, do you have any questions?
Yeah, my only question is I noticed that we took out a lot of the or as assigned by your supervisor or assigned by your job description and only used the CBA in there. And then also the part in red where you put on there that the CBA supersedes any policies that it might have a contradiction on. Can you help me understand how have we ever had, you may not know that if we've ever had instances where that's come up, but it would seem that we would align the contract around the policy rather than the policy around the contract.
So I added the last sentence there, the job sharing arrangements involving certificated staff, and that if there is a conflict, the CBA will control. We can remove that if that makes anybody uncomfortable, but I'm just trying to put clarity in there. Although I don't foresee this is fairly simple policy and it's fairly simple language in the contract. I don't foresee any conflict. But if that's making anybody uncomfortable, we can move that. Like I said, that last sentence is my ad.
So I get it, and this is a pretty simple policy. My concern is if we add that on in other ones where they're not so simple, I just worry about setting a precedence where the contract supersedes district policy. And I don't know how that works necessarily, or even if you can have it not be that way.
Well, like I said, that was just my addition for clarity. It can easily be removed. It's not part of WASDA's language at all. So if we don't want to set a precedent, I totally get that. Not to be upset.
To follow on Joe's language, in practice, does the CBA, if we have a contract, supersede policy?
I can't think of an instance where we have.
Okay.
I think Jill makes a really good point. If we set a precedent for saying the CBA
Sure.
supersedes policy, we could get ourselves into trouble
Okay.
with that being an argument for not following policy.
Gotcha.
If
Okay.
there's a different interpretation.
Okay, I will strike the last sentence then.
Any other questions? Okay, can I get a motion for first reading?
I'll move first reading. I'll second.
And we'll vote?
Yes.
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 Awesome.
Okay, thank you.
And policy 5235, which is old 5222.
Correct.
I have a question on this one.
Okay.
So the only part I have a question on is who actually does the annual review or appraisal of classified? And how do they do that? Because if the paras are working in teachers' classrooms, I'm assuming the principal then does it? How does that work?
Well, the principal would do observations in the classroom that would include watching classified staff as well. And then also work closely with the teacher.
But it's really formal with TPEP, right? For teachers.
Sure.
Is there a system like that for classified?
It's a much simpler evaluation form. It's not nearly as in-depth.
And Ken, isn't there generally uh, I know that the principals, at least when a while back, and it was when we had instructional specialists, a lot of those oversaw and did the evaluations of the paras. So who is doing those evaluate? Is it the principal?
Yes.
Unless there's an instructional specialist and then they're doing it?
I'm going to be honest, I don't know anything about instructional specialists doing evaluations.
Okay.
Chris is shaking her head no too. I don't think that's.
No? Okay. Okay.
So this policy focuses a lot on the how and the when, but not the documentation. So is there a procedure that goes along with this that talks about how they're documented and what that looks like?
So that would be in CBAs.
It's in the contracts.
Yeah. Yeah. All the forms, the dates, all that stuff are all outlined in each individual bargaining unit's contract.
Okay. And all the groups noted here have bargaining agreements that would pertain to that.
Yes.
What about staff we have that don't have bargaining agreements?
So like district office.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that would be on page 2, the other administrative staff.
Right. But there's no information about how or it's documented or just that it's done once a year.
Yep.
And that's it.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there a procedure that goes with this policy?
I'm gonna have to look at that. I don't believe it is, but I'll have to look at that. Because like I said, all the language for dates and forms and all of that is all outlined in the CBAs.
Okay. We don't have any other groups that are not included here.
No, I mean, so the classified would have different bargaining groups in it.
Mm-hmm.
So like OPs would fall in there, paras would fall into there. So there's more than one group in that. The administrative staff, other administrative staff would pretty much be here. And then certificated support, that's the counselors, school nurses, all part of REA. And then, of course, you have teachers and principals, which it would be the REA and the ARA.
Okay. Jill, do you have any questions?
No, just some of the questions that you had, because this doesn't really outline what our ability to hold the accountability of the employees. And I think maybe that when this gets more of the procedures, or if I go through and look at those papers that are in the contract, the CBA, it'll make more sense. Because this is pretty. I mean, it's the legal part to cover our bases on the WACs and the RCWs, but it doesn't really give a lot of policy as far as accountability on those.
Or the accountability on the person who's actually performing the evaluation.
Exactly.
Right. Because the other administrative staff, it doesn't say who's doing it.
And I yeah, it doesn't say who does it, and I think that's one of just a concern that I have in we haven't been able to move individuals or get remediation for individuals because the evaluation process wasn't necessarily done in a manner that allows us to do that based on the contract language. So I just want to make sure that we have this policy such that the evaluator understands what needs to be in those evaluations in order to hold employees accountable to actions, if that makes sense.
Any other thoughts? So I think we'll probably need to look and see if there's procedures that go along with these, and if there aren't, maybe thinking about how to create some procedures that document more accountability on the evaluator and the evaluatee for the documentation of the process. However, mentioned in some agreements, but maybe not mentioned in other agreements. And then if there isn't, maybe something needs to be added in terms of the who and all of that.
And part of that, I know that there was a process that we started, Ken, before you took over some of the HR stuff, where they were doing some additional training on evaluating and what needed to be documented. So maybe utilizing some of that language that was utilized or in that training may give you a starting point.
Okay, yeah, I'll look into
Because
that.
I'm not sure you've even, maybe you may not even be privy to that.
Stop by Friday. I remember what's in there. I'll stop by Friday, and I'm going to be in Friday with Katrina.
Okay.
I know what Joe's talking about.
Yeah, remember? Yeah, perfect.
Yep.
Thank you, Rick.
Okay. All right. Can I get a motion for first reading?
You want to do it now, or you want to wait till we see the?
You want to bring it back for?
Oh, bring it back for
Yeah,
first
bring
reading.
it back for first.
Okay.
Is that okay?
So the March meeting?
Sure.
The HR? Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Ken.
All right, we are up to the board discussion and old business portion of our meeting. Does anybody have additional board discussion, old business to bring up to discuss?
I don't tonight. Nothing.
Wait, just in general, sorry, I'm a little confused, but the procedures just passed when we passed the policy? Like,
the procedures are the how, which is dictated by the district. The board dictates the what, which is the policy. So the district will update their procedures after a policy has been updated. But we usually don't vote on the procedures. But sometimes we make decisions to move things out of the policy and into the procedure.
Mhm.
And sometimes we make decisions to move things out of the procedure and into the policy. So, yeah. Jill, do you have any other old business or discussion?
No, I do not. Not right now.
I do. We received an email from a constituent talking about the students doing their protests. I might be using the wrong word. And I think Dr. Redinger talked about it last time. They needed parent permission for it to be excused and things like that. But I think it's also a First Amendment right that was has gone through the Supreme Court in the 1960s. So, you know, the person wanted to know why we condoned it, and I think it's because we take oaths to uphold the Constitution and laws of the state of Washington and of the United States. So whether I agree with people or disagree with people, they get to say what they want to under the First Amendment. To the point where here I've had people read the Ten Commandments to me and tell me I'm going to hell. That is also a First Amendment right. I just don't agree with them. So I want to point that out. On a lighter note, on the AI discussion earlier, I have a friend who teaches science. And he's a really close friend and he's weird. And he uses AI and he grades them on their prompts and their improvements in prompts and the results that they get. He's a very effective teacher. And so I think we need to take that into account. The other thing I think we need to take into account is AI, you know, with a special ed degree. And I don't teach or anything, but as a manager on site, my apologies to the people who work for me, I'm going to talk about you. Engineers tend to be good at math and less versed in the English language. And I ask them to go out and evaluate technical things and then write about it. And a few of them I've taught to use AI because they can verbally say all the technical things. And at the end, they can say to AI, please put that in proper professional language and organize it into technical writing format. And, you know, there's some prompts that they use and it's beautiful. And it's technically, they have to go through and read it, right? But so I think AI can be a tool, and I agree it's going to be hard to write a policy that fits everything, because I'm imagining you could write a whole essay in 30 seconds about taming of the shrew.
And not to mention that we're just getting started, right? You write a policy now and it'll be obsolete in a month.
Yeah.
But I was thinking the whole time she was talking about if I was a teacher and I would have the kids using AI, but I would have them document the prompts that they had. That would be an appendix to whatever they turn in. I know that my oldest son is a senior now at WSU in software engineering, and he took last semester an entire class on programming with AI. And it was similar to what you're talking about. What they were graded on was how they used the AI, not what their final project did or what it was. It was how they used the AI to get there.
Yeah.
So it is, I mean, it is something that is growing, and it's something that we want to use properly, but we want to use it.
Yes, I agree.
I think there still are like generally objective wrong uses of AI that should be made out to be wrong district wide. And even if it may be hard, there still are ways where we can have at least some sort of rules and boundaries. Even if it's like somewhat vague, I still think that is necessary.
We do have, so the student group is going to continue to talk about this topic. And Carolyn Sturgis, who was here last week, she had mentioned, she followed up with me afterwards because she heard about the AI, and she's done a lot of work at River's Edge and brought in some experts from, I believe, PNL. If it's Patel, I want to make sure I get it right, but so he came in and he's doing a lot of the work for out in at the site, and he wants to a lot of research, and so he wants to help us with our policies, and so he's going to be meeting with us. His first name is Luke, so thanks, Luke, if you're watching. He has children in our school district, and he's really looking forward. So we have a meeting Friday with him, with Carolyn Sturgis, Enid, Glenn, and Jennifer Klaus and I, and then so he will, and then the plan is he will work with the students in our next student advisory. So
Hey,
just so we have some outside help coming in as well.
Hey, Shelley, in that
Yes.
meeting with them, have you included the work group through OSPI? And I think there's probably 3 or 4 districts that are in that. That's that AI seminar that I went to on defining and establishing policies on AI. They have a really extensive template that goes through and targets what you can or what you should or shouldn't use.
Yes,
on,
well, we use some of that, all of that work for the last meeting with the students. We had
Okay,
some
good.
of the OSPI. Yeah, Glenn brought that for that meeting.
Okay, good. Because I had given that over to Glenn. Perfect. Okay.
Mhm.
Because it's pretty extensive and they put a lot of time and effort into it and it's pretty
Yes.
thorough. So we didn't need to reinvent that wheel. Perfect.
Yes.
Thank you.
So more to come on that as the students report out and as we have our community partners helping us with this work.
So are you planning to bring something to the board in March or in April? What were you thinking?
The plan is we're going to go more in depth in March. And so I would say probably May, just some ideas at the students. And I think it would be really nice if the students come and present. And Carolyn Sturgis wants to be a part of that as well.
And then we also had like students come up with teachers that have like nuanced opinions on AI and how it should be used in classrooms and just like to give their contact and information so that we can use them as a resource as well.
Yeah, so there's a work group Enid has started in Glenn, and so this gentleman, our community partner, and so we're building that group.
Okay. So let's put that on our calendar for a
Okay.
May
Yeah, that'd be
discussion
good.
at a board meeting. Okay. Do you have anything else, Jill?
No, the only thing I was gonna say, I don't know, is this your initial plan? Do you not need any board representation on that policy committee?
No, Enid will be reaching out for her
Okay.
committee. I think it would be good to have a board member or two.
Okay. No, I have nothing else. I just want the results to come up so we can figure out our next. It's already 9 o'clock. It's already almost 9 o'clock my time. So
Right.
I got to leave in a little longer of stress.
Yep. Well, hopefully we will see some ballot results being posted in the next 30 minutes. But there's no need for us to drag out the meeting for another 30 minutes to wait for that to happen. I just want to say that the board has consulted, and if the vote comes in this evening below 50% for either the EP&O levy or the tech levy, then we will have an emergency board meeting on Thursday night, the 12th at 6:30 p.m. in here to discuss what the implications might be for losing that level of funding for next year, because the board and the district would have to plan accordingly. There's always the chance that it's below 50% tonight and it goes up. That is not the historical trajectory that we've seen in the past. So we want to just be prepared for that. The reason why is because if we ran either of those levies again on the April ballot, a decision would have to be made with a resolution and voted on at the next meeting on the 24th of February, which is the day that the election results would be certified. So just to let the community know that it is our plan, if either vote comes in below 50% tonight, we will have an emergency meeting on Thursday, the 12th. And that will be posted on the district's website tomorrow.
Hey. My question is, if it's close, if it's 50.5 or something like that,
I'd like to leave it, and by policy, you can call an emergency meeting if you think it's close. You can call an emergency meeting for anything.
Yep.
With 24 hours notice. So I would leave that open to the community, or communicate that to the community and leave it open to you too. If
Okay.
in your judgment you think we need to meet, then just do it.
We will call an emergency meeting. But
Mhm.
the trick is, I think they would drop the ballot number tonight after 8, and then they won't do another update till 8 tomorrow. And that would be under 24 hours to have a meeting at 6:30 on Thursday.
Sure, but I mean,
So
if it's like
just based on tonight.
51%, not quite 50, you can still call it.
Okay. Yeah.
I think I'd like to just add to that conversation as saying that one of the reasons we need to do that is because if we're voting on it on the 24th, we need to have significant time for community input on what the new proposal looks like.
Right, exactly. Yeah, we need to have input for what we would put on the ballot in April, and feedback from the community on how to make it better. So, and really better understanding implications, particularly for the EP&O levy, of what the impact to the district would be. So, okay. Anything else, Jill?
Yeah, do you want me to make a motion to approve the consent agenda?
That was the next thing I was going to ask for. Go for it. Do we have anything we'd like to pull from consent? Nope. Then make your motion, Jill.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Okay. And we'll vote.
Yes.
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 Okay. And then for our next meeting on the 24th. So again, we have a draft agenda for that meeting on the 24th. That will be the day that the election results will be certified, but presumably we will know well in advance what we are looking at in terms of EP&O levy and or tech levy passing or failing. So the agenda, I would say, is subject to change a little bit based on the results of the election. If either of the levies does not pass, then I propose we add a topic on the business to discuss that, and potentially a resolution for putting one or both of those back on the April ballot. And if we do that, then we may postpone some of the other activities for that evening.
Okay.
Any other topics that we would want to consider for a future meeting, whether it's the 24th or for March 10th?
I don't have anything right now.
Okay, anything for the good of the order? All right, then we're adjourned. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Really, even be useful. You